All right. And welcome back to another episode of Everything But the Podcast. I am your co host, Michael McGuire.
And I am Ray Kane.
We have a great episode in store for you today, but first things first, Maury, how you feeling out there?
I'm doing pretty well. I feel like it's the same thing I say every week, but I am truly doing well. Drinking my water, staying hydrated, trying to slowly get back into my exercise regime. Um, think positive thoughts. Look towards the future, make plans, and try to make some executions. So it's a good week, good start of the week, and looking forward to the rest of this week. And hopefully I can make that visit and see some family this week. Well, how about you, Mike?
Everything is good this week. You know, still some things that I'm trying to deal with, but dealing with them as best as I can, moving through them. Trying to set some things up for myself as always. Just try to keep grinding, keep going. That's all.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I do need to go and grocery shop, so I don't waste all my money on Uber Eats and DoorDash this week. Because I will
I
do
thought
that.
you was on your oodles and noodles sandwich. You still got that thing going.
All right, I'm gonna need everybody to stop clowning the oodles noodle sandwich. But no, like a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to be into doing meal prep. I said a couple of weeks ago, this was like a month ago in actuality. But I was trying to do meal prep, so I was cooking on Sundays, and then I was cooking again on Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights, just so I could have meals throughout the week. And then I would pack a little lunch for while I was at work, just so I can cut down, save on money, save on time, save on frustration.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to do.
Yeah, meal prepping is tough, man. I don't. It's what do we have the meal prep? Well, at least 2 meals a day, right, for the whole week.
Yeah.
So you got to make 10 meals at least, and it's got to be whatever you make got to last till Friday and be good by the time you reheat it up on Friday. It's tough for me to just do that, and it takes a while too. It's a lot of work.
I'm not gonna hold you. That's a big thing with me. Is one, it's no secret I'm greedy, but two, on top of that, I have a deep appreciation for food. So there's something inside me that will not allow me to eat a meal more than 3 days in a row. I just can't do it, no matter what it is.
Man, then you talk about you grew up with the struggle. I used to eat leftovers for forever, man.
No,
3 days is nothing.
But that's the good thing, because there were so many kids. Leftovers only lasted for 2 nights tops.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. It was like survival, man. You had to figure something out. PB&J sandwich. If it wasn't that, I mean, culturally, we eat rice and soup or whatever it is for the longest. So, you got to make things stretch. It's man, we've been eating this for 3 days. Can we get something else to eat? What you mean get something else to eat? Go cook some more rice and eat it. It's, nah. 3 days is nothing.
I was just about to jump on that, because I remember in 7th, 8th grade, my first time going over your house and seeing the rice cooker.
Mike was so confused. He what is this? I'm a rice cooker. He what? This is a rice cooker this big? I'm bro, there's a lot of us in this house, man. We all gotta eat. Hey, yeah, that was a big rice cooker though. That's not a normal yeah.
So that's for the first 12, 13 years of my life. The only rice cooker that I've ever known has been the pot that you put on the stove. That's it. That's what you cook rice in.
That rice cooker we had was a legit one though. I ain't gonna hold you. And it was always the battle of who cooks the last, or whoever eats the last bit supposed to cook. So people used to try to scheme, right? So when it gets to the bottom of the pot, people would try to leave just enough for somebody else to eat. Just so they don't gotta make it. I'm yo, you foul for this, man. Everybody did. I was one of them too. I would take a little bit, even if I'm hungry. I'm man, I'm not trying to cook this joint. You know what? Let me just leave a little bit for whoever opened this joint up as surprise. If you really want to eat, you're gonna have to cook that joint. So you take whatever you gotta take out. You gotta cook right away, and then you go eat. If not, it's a problem.
That's treacherous.
There's war in there. Yeah, you have to figure it out.
We had one thing like that in our house that was like that. It was Pop-Tarts. But we used to get the big variety box from Sam's Club. So It was at least 36 of them in there, but it was 3 different flavors. But the catch to it was that the flavors were all random. They were mixed up and they were inside
Ah,
like the solid like foil paper looking wrapper. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, it's like almost like opening a mystery lollipop or something. You never know what's in there.
Right. So here's my little 7-year-old ass. I want the it wasn't the, I wanted the brown sugar cinnamon ones.
Really?
Yeah, that's the
I
one.
think strawberry. Strawberry's that thing. I don't know about no brown sugar.
Strawberry was cool. I didn't really bang with blueberry. I'm not gonna hold you.
Yeah, blueberry
Um,
wasn't that great.
but strawberry was second. But those brown sugar cinnamon ones, those were the ones that hit for me. So what I did was I went and I like opened each one individually, each pack
So them jokes must have
until.
been stale. What are you? Oh, he was wilding.
But when it came time, like people were asking questions, like, okay, well, who did this?
Nobody
It
did it. It's
wasn't me.
always a ghost in the house.
It
Nobody
was
ever
not
did it.
me.
That's
But
exactly
the
what it is.
thing
Who
was,
left this bowl in here? Nobody knows. Who cooked? Who ate the last rice? Nobody knows. Like it's nobody ever knows. You gotta
but
stay quiet.
the trick to it was that I learned, and it worked for me at a younger age, but not at older ones. If you speak up first and you're quick to say wasn't me, then you're good. But because they always go to like the second and third people who don't say anything. The ones who
It's,
look around, that's the ones who did it most of the time.
you gotta narrow it down. Yeah.
So you
No, the
gotta
way
just
you couldn't just say it wasn't me though. For us, you have to literally say what you were doing at that time.
oh you gotta
So
give an alibi.
it'd be like who left a little bit of rice in there and ain't cooked nothing. I'd be like, I just came from back from basketball practice, so it's definitely not me. That I already got an alibi. I'm cool now. Then you gotta start narrating to other people like, wait, look, it's not me. So whenever you get the chance, you gotta cop your way out of it real quick. If not, it's gonna get scary. Real scary in there.
It was like it's warfare, man. With like food and a house with my house at max, it was maybe like 6 or 7 people living in there. Yours was what?
We had a lot. Oh,
Yeah.
at the peak, it was more than 6 or 7. I'm gonna just say that. I ain't gonna say the number. There was a lot of us in that joint. And think about it, we're all around the same age. And then imagine a whole bunch of us around the same age living there. And then when it's the weekend, we're in grandmom's house, so all the grandkids coming over there. So it was even worse on the weekends. Like any type of snacks you had is the community snacks. Everybody eating that show. It's like I'm like, dang, I gotta try to hide some stuff. Like as
Yeah,
soon as
the
they come
joint
over,
used to do
they're
that.
eating all the cookies. Like yeah, it was real.
Yeah, there
I'm
did
not
come a
gonna lie.
time where we had to start smuggling snacks up to the bedroom.
Exactly. Look, I feel like a lot of people went through that, yo. Like
Yeah, for sure.
you gotta finesse, and there's the rule where like as long as the box is open, you can't eat the last one.
Mm.
That's the way you get out of a lot of things. Like you can open a box of fruit snacks, most of that junk could be gone in the same day, but if you're the last one to take it, you probably take the blame. So like you gotta finesse your way out of that junk too. So it's like
Yeah,
there was so many different things, yeah.
yeah.
The good
And
old days.
I had a trick. I never let anybody else know about it, but whenever there was like a snack that I wanted that I knew was like in high demand, it was gonna go quick. I used to take a few out of, excuse me. I used to take a few out of the box, and then put it in a completely different box that like a food that I knew nobody else wanted. So I just had them there, so I wouldn't get in trouble like for having them up in my room or anything like that. But like people would be like, "Well, damn, how'd you get another one?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
you was thinking ahead, man. That's
uh,
the
you
you
gotta
had that futuristic mind thought, man. I mean
modern warfare,
mindset.
modern warfare, bro. You have to find out how to get it."
I
All
feel
right,
you.
let's go ahead and jump into the topic for today. You had a question of and when you sent it to the text message, you said, "Is it smoke and mirrors that movies as of late are heavily black?" Talking of about black star power and black directors, black producers, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Um, when I it was almost like a when I thought of it was it was strange because what that originally generated from me seeing the turnout of Black Panther.
mm,
Um, not necessarily just when I went to the movie myself. It's like I remember talking to you about actually going to Black Panther, and you were in there, and you're like, "Yo, the aura in there is crazy. Like you can just
Oh
tell
yeah,
it's." And like, yeah,
but
you gotta explain the exact words you said. When I heard that, I was like, "Yo, it's crazy," because I had the same experience. Like it was just
okay.
so. I feel like it was like a culturally binding thing where people went out of their way just to watch that movie, bring family members, and it's just a huge. I think it just had like a huge connection to the colored community that it brought people out. They're dressing up in all these cultural stuff, and younger kids were proud to be that. And even the Halloween after that, a lot of kids wanted to be Black Panther, and even the ladies. I don't want to butcher the names. I want to say T'Challa, maybe.
T'Challa, that was a character.
That was a character in there, but I'm saying it was like the general was a lady, huge, like a
You talking
big part
about
in the movie, and like she
you talking
didn't
about
lose any
Lupita
fights.
Nyong'o?
Say it again.
You talking about the actress Lupita Nyong'o?
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
So like I feel like it was just so empowering for that movie, just not for kids, but for people older than that, just to see. It's just like when people can relate to movies, when they can see themselves or where they can see people that look like them, it just drives them to come out and see the movie or come out and enjoy it and experience that. And and I kind of want you to actually use the words that you said when you told me the experience you had when you went and watched it. And I was just like, yo, this is something crazy. And then within, I'm not sure how long a duration it took, and it broke numbers in the box office and
Mm.
broke a record. And I mean, when they say number one movie in America, that's so common. But like when it said it broke records globally, I was just like, wow, that's deep. And you can tell, or you know, what the main revenue was or driven of people that was going out there to watch it. It's people that felt like the movie was almost a part of them or kind of spoke to them and their culture and who they came from and things like that. And I think it was a pretty cool experience just to be able to watch that movie and that
Yeah,
atmosphere that was in the movie theater itself. So it was pretty cool.
for for sure. And for me, mine I'd say was particularly unique, just because I got a chance to watch it in Harlem, which is like the black
Oh yeah,
mecca
it's
of
like the epitome. You definitely were in like the
yeah,
middle of everything.
yeah, being on like block after block after block of nothing but black. So to go to the Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem and sit down and be surrounded by nothing but black people, and like it's true, I've smelled incense burning in the movie theater. I kid you not. I'm like not lying, no jokes.
When he told me that, I was like, "Yeah, this guy gotta be exaggerating." He was like, "No,
No,
man, I'm being serious." I was like,
but it was one of those things, and it was so beautiful to see that black people from all across diaspora coming together to engage and enjoy with this film, enjoy together this film. It was just something unprecedented I had never seen before, and whether it be in art, whether it be in music, whether it be in sports, just black people from every walk of life, no matter what the specific culture may be, or whether it's continental African, African American, African from one of the islands, just everybody got together and they were able to see themselves in the character that Lupita Nyong'o played, in the character that um, Chadwick Boseman played, and just everything. But I know you did have a concern asking about like the production that goes behind it. Is it all smoke and mirrors, right?
yeah, kind of what I was asking for that, or
So you were
that.
asking more so of like where did the finances go for that?
Yeah, for the most part, we know where the finances are coming from, but the intent behind it is a little bit different. And it,
Mm.
it kind of leads to exploitation. Um, and it was kind of weird that we were talking about what broke that in the 70s to start that whole, I don't want to say wave, but exploitation of kind of the thing that also when I looked into it a little bit more was noticing that movies or sports or whatever it is, I think more so movie and sports kind of bind people in a time of when people are in low times, or if there's a lot of things going on in the outside world, when there's something that people can connect to, it's a lot easier to draw to that. Um, so I think that kind of the time that it came out, where there's a lot of stuff that's going on socially and in our neighborhoods and things of that nature, that I feel like sports and movies or entertainment in itself, if there's something that people that can grasp onto or connect to that's positive or takes their mind out of everyday life, I feel like that's a huge driver for what draws people. The To figure out what the funding was behind that, it's a whole deeper thing. I'm not sure how high it goes, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't all black people's money to bring that effort together. But it was cool that not just the director, but a lot of the characters themselves were black, and I think that helped draw people to it, of color at least, to be able to say this is ours, this is something we can own, or something we're a huge part of. And I mean, I feel like it's definitely a cool thing, but there's the other side of the coin on that too, where it's just not all black.
Mm.
It's
You
like
talking about the on-screen characters or the like the people behind the camera?
people behind the cameras. I
Okay.
feel like it was mainly black driven, but we all know at the end of the day, it's funded by other people, or or there's different
Well,
agendas. But
no, I mean
to
it's
get to
not.
the bottom of it, say it again.
It's not. I don't think it's a matter of it being a specific agenda. It seems. Well, this is how I took it. So this is a Marvel storyline written by Stan Lee and another guy. So technically, they have rights over the entire story.
Right.
Um, so in with Marvel being the production company and them footing the bill for everything that it took to make the movie,
Hmm.
rightfully so, they should make that money on the back end. Now having the having who they did as part of the production crew, whether you look at the director was black, set designer was black, costume director was black, and with a bunch of other positions that were occupied by people who were black, and then on screen there was only one, no, two non-black characters who were white, right?
That I
So
can think of
in
right now, yeah.
yeah,
Police, pretty much
so in,
police.
right. So in that regard, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing because I think it kind of has on a much lower scale that kind of like an Obama effect. When Obama got into office, it was, what was the slogan behind it? It was 2008. I was in 8th grade, so I don't really remember. I wasn't paying attention to
I
politics.
was,
It was like
I was
hope.
in it.
It was hope, and then once he got elected, it was a feeling of like if like yes we can,
Yes, we
I
can. That's what I was
can,
gonna say. Yeah, I actually had
yes
a
we
shirt
can.
that
That's
said that too.
okay, cool. But that was the sentiment that went behind it. It made our community, the black community, feel empowered that okay, one of us can be the president.
Right.
We can do anything. So I
Right.
think Black Panther, that production on a smaller scale, by having Ryan Coogler being the director and him being all over the place for press, people knowing his face, having Chadwick Boseman be the lead, having Lupita be another like strong, smart lead. Like I think that was a terrific depiction of a. It was a very respectful representate. It was a very respectful depiction of a black woman in power
For
because there
sure.
was no, yeah, there was no patronizing any. That was the beautiful thing that I liked about it the most is any scenes, and it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but any scenes where it was like one of those things where T'Challa could have like chipped in and done a little bit more than would have been necessary for any other person.
Hmm.
Lupita Nyong'o, I forget her. It was Shuri was her character's name.
That's the name I'm struggling with coming up with
Okay,
right
we
now.
just
To be
all right.
honest.
We're just gonna stick to calling her Lupita. Um, but no, but like she was self sufficient
Hmm.
in that, and I thought that was beautiful because that's the truth and that's the way it goes, and more times than just in that movie we see it in real life every day. So it's good to see it on the big screen.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, but to your point about like the finances and everything to go back when you first brought up the question, it made me think about the 1970s and the entire blaxploitation era.
Right.
So I know you did a little bit of Googles on it today. What'd you end up coming back with?
Just pretty much of how they took advantage of what the state of mind was for Black Americans in that time. So it was, I'm not sure who was in presidency at that time, but it was the middle of the Black Panther and Martin Luther King, and there was just so much that was going on. And then not only did that be like, not only was that the turning point for Black actors, because before that, a lot of the roles were submissive or butlers or maids or whatever the case may be. But when that finally came on to the big screen, it just did great numbers that are just like, whoa, like this is something that we probably should do. Some of the movies I was looking at around that time that came out, it was like Shaft, Superfly. It was like another movie. I think that was like the original one. It's escaping my mind right now.
Well, like the first one?
Sweetbacks.
Sweet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Melvin Van Peebles.
Yeah, and that was just
Yeah.
another movie where it was just like, well, I know more so for Shaft, where it was just like a badass like actor that's someone that's against the rules or pretty much doing what they want to do and just have that like
Mm.
aura on the camera itself that people, I wouldn't say got drawn to, but got excited about to go watch. So it was like a big movement in itself there where they, after that there was plenty of movies within that year to 5 years where it was just like a lot of Black main characters and characters within or their storylines were all pretty much not portraying what it used to, but just putting or empowering them. So on screen, it was a big thing, at least in the '70s, and I want to say it probably has still been trickled down all the way till to 2020 or 2019 that we're in now. But I mean, I think that was where it started, and it was I think they seen the huge market in that, and it might have driven them to see like, hey, if we have, it's not just Black people, it's just that when people feel drawn to or can relate to or can see
Yeah.
themselves in movies or whatever it is that they're looking at, and they're just like, look, hey, that could be me or
Represent.
whatever the case may be. It just makes it a lot easier for them to come out and support and want to take part in viewing or experiencing that film itself. So,
Right, that representation.
hmm
Yeah. Um, with blaxploitation, I think it has a lot of differences and a few similarities to what we see today. From what I understand, in the 1970s, with movies that were coming out that were focused on trying to tell a story from Black culture, they often weren't written by Black writers, weren't shot by Black directors, but they did have that Black lead who assumed that it was a similar role to the American cowboy. You know, that rogue person that goes off that's doesn't work directly with the police department. Maybe he's a PI or anything like that. So like a situation like Shaft, those movies like that, whether it's like Shaft or Cleopatra Jones or Superfly, whatever, they do create cultural heroes. But on the same token, they do magnify some of the, how can I put it? Movies like that often publicize and magnified negative stereotypes within the Black community. So it seems like I hate to say it's you got to take the good with the bad situation,
right.
but that's kind of what it seems like. Even with today, in a movie like Black Panther, there were zero negative stereotypes about Black people.
hmm
That was a beautiful thing to see. So I can say that if Black Panther in any way is akin to a blaxploitation film, it has come such a far way
Oh, for sure.
from those movies that were made in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s.
Yeah, and I was even watching a clip about actors and directors talking about the movie Shaft itself. Um, and it was like how he got away at the end of the movie, and people were not used to black people making it to the end of the movie, and
Oh
to them it like
shit.
shocked them, and I was like, wow, that was like a thing, like there one guy was talking about there was a lady in the movie theater he was with, and like she yelled out, just kill him already, like she was just expecting him to die, and he just got away, and it was just like complete silence after the movie, and everybody was just like, did that just happen? And that's ridiculous. That's crazy for that to be a
Yeah.
thing. But hey,
So I hold
it's
on.
real life.
I have a question from when we were talking about it on the phone last night. I heard you say, and I didn't want to bring anything to it, but I wanted to circle back to it tonight because I did think it was important. You said uh,
Don't even know what I
it'll
said.
always be another culture behind what we make popular. Talking about that other culture profiting off of what we make popular. What
Um,
do you think is a solution to that?
I don't think there's a real solution until blacks can fund their own things.
But we are. That's the thing. We are. We do. Like you have. Okay, so if you wanted to
It's
stick
not a
to,
well. I mean, Tyler Perry's a huge example of that for sure. I mean, he's
yeah,
made millions of movies in theaters, but until we get more of Tyler Perry type productions, I don't think there's. I mean, it's always gonna be some type of infiltration. I would just,
mhm.
unless it's like that's what I said. Unless there's a whole bunch of Tyler Perry productions, and he's doing a wonderful job. Tyler Perry, who else? Spike Lee. I'm not sure if
Hey, Kevin Hart
John
has
Singleton
has.
had his own funding on his movie. Did he? Are you sure? Do you know about that?
Mm,
When he
I
did
don't
Baby
think.
Boy.
I don't know if he had his own production company,
Uh huh.
but yeah, I don't know what he was in terms of producing things. I always just look. Yeah, I'm sleeping and slacking on that. I'll find out. But
This is your
I do
field,
know.
man.
Hey, I know. Don't come at me. But I do know that there have been quite a few black production companies that are owned by like black actors or black actresses. I know Viola Davis has one now that she's trying to. There was something that she was trying to work out with HBO, a series that was
Mhm.
based on Harriet Tubman. I hope that's still in the works. I really love to see that.
Mhm.
But even if you go back into like the 80s and the 90s, in the 80s, possibly the largest star in American media, period, Eddie Murphy, had Eddie Murphy Productions, under which Coming to America was produced. One of the
I love
Beverly
that
Hills
movie.
Cops was produced. Harlem Nights was produced. There, and I think there was a few more. Then in the '90s, have you ever seen A Thin Line Between Love and Hate?
I don't think so.
Boy, you slacking. Okay, so it's
I
a
don't think so.
movie. It's a movie with Martin Lawrence starring him in the '90s. Martin Lawrence, Lynn Whitfield, Bobby
Oh
Brown,
wait, you
and
talking
Regina
about
King.
when she goes like crazy?
She does actually. I want you to watch that movie again. She really doesn't go crazy.
Nah,
I
I need
swear.
to.
Hold on,
I
she
think
doesn't go crazy.
I think I might have seen the movie you're talking about. To be honest, now that you say that,
Like
when
he's
he had like
Martin
a
Lawrence is like a.
girlfriend and she was like,
No, he
or
didn't have
well,
a
at least when
girlfriend. He
I
was
saw it, it looked like she was crazy.
no, she didn't have. He didn't have a girlfriend. He was like the playboy around
That's what it
L.A.
was, right?
Um,
I watched it. I need to watch
yeah.
it again, but I watched it.
Yeah, you thought Lynn Whitfield? Okay, watch it again and like go through it and see if you who you think is more in the wrong. I will say it was funny as hell when she broke his when she broke his car down to the put it on cinder blocks in front of the police station.
Yeah,
That's funny,
actually,
bro.
yeah, I definitely seen that movie. I need to watch it again. I do need to watch it again.
Yeah,
Thin line between
it's a
love and
good
hate, you
movie,
said?
but yeah,
Okay.
but to get back to it, that's a good production. It's a good solid production made by
Mhm.
a black production company.
Mhm.
It does happen to even today. It happens few and far between, and there are some companies that are coming out with good products, but then there's some companies that are just in it what seems to be like to me just to make the quick dollar. Um, but I think it's just always going to boil back to what we pay attention to the most.
Mhm.
So if we are feeding into only Black Panther, but we're not paying attention to what's another movie that just came out that was from a black production company, but something like that. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It's been a long day. Don't judge me. Um, but there's plenty of things where we could go. It's the same thing about, like, I know you said you watched the Dapper Dan interview on the Breakfast Club
Right.
that went up 2 or 3 weeks ago, talking about, and he was explaining. Well, Charlamagne kept asking the question about the black buying power and why don't we just invest or go switch over to buying from black brands instead of the majors, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, whatever.
Right.
And Dapper Dan was explaining that you have to learn the business, because even by the time that you get into the business and you learn just like what's going on today, that business is already 15, 20 years ahead.
Right. That's another thing where I was thinking.
Hold on. So the point.
Cut you off.
No, that's cool. The point that I was trying to make is that we can do that, and I think I honestly do believe. I hope I could affect some change in this area, but to do just that in the film space, to get in and learn the business, get in and meet the people, get in and learn how to actually make a good quality film, so that we can just produce it on our own. Have whether we start off independent and grow to a major corporation or company, but just do it that way. Hopefully this is a little side note. If there is anybody out there who happens to listen to this and wants to take me under their wing, please give me a call. I will
Help
more
me.
than gladly help me.
Oh man. Yeah, so that kind of like spills into that Dapper Dan interview. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. It's off of Breakfast in the Morning. Was it Breakfast Club?
Yeah, it's Breakfast Club.
I said Breakfast
Not-
The Breakfast
Oh.
Club. It's been a long day for me too, man. Relax. So the Breakfast Club, and kind of what he was touching on was you have to get into the system to understand the system, and then create your own thing off of that. Because he's been a huge influence on Gucci, on a lot of styles and different things that go on. And he hasn't really taken credit or come out to say like, "Hey, I'm the one who did it," but he's driven a lot of that. And then Charlamagne was asking him a lot, like, "Why don't you just start your own stuff?" And he's like, "I'm trying. I'm not just gonna keep working for them my whole life." But he's trying to figure out a unifying symbol himself to be able to start his own thing and get that going. But for sure, I think you have to be a part of it, understand it, and then break off and do your own thing. So it's like you have to buy into whatever it's out there now, or whatever the system is, just to be able to understand it from the inside out, and then go ahead and do your own thing. So
Right, and I think that goes outside of the film industry. I think that goes into every bit of like manufacturing. You want to talk about like somebody wants to get into pharmaceuticals, I don't know, engineering, people want to be auto mechanics. If you can get in to actually learn the technical skills, of course, but you can learn the business. And on top of that, you can learn the ways of the business, because I can say like I have zero intention. Well, I don't have zero intention, but like going to actually learn about business. I'm not compelled to do that. Maybe at a later date I will be, but right now I can't see myself doing that. Instead, I see myself going and focusing on the art, focusing on networking, focusing on all those technical aspects, so that I can like sit down and have that be what I pour into. But to relate, anybody else that has anything to do, like if you wanted to start your own, like let's say you wanted to switch over to architecture from engineering, wink wink, you can do that and you can make crazy
wink,
money.
wink. Yeah, it's that easy. Wink, wink. Yeah, all right.
but if it were something like that, I would definitely say go ahead and get a good job or get an internship, start somewhere, start delivering papers and coffee for people, just so you can learn the business and be a fly on the wall, and then work your way into a position, and then just work your way up from position to position, so that you can gain as much experiences as you need, so that by the time before you're ready to be out the door, like Dapper Dan has to be, I'd say close to 60.
He's up there, yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't want to use the term far-fetched, but for him to try to do it at 60, I think it would be a lot better if he tried to do that at 30, 35.
Yeah, the earlier the better, of course, so you can be able to make mistakes. And I think another thing that he was talking about was setting up his grandkids and his kids' kids. So I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
if it's something he starts, he knows for sure it's something that his next generations are going to take over and run with. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely do not doubt that he has everybody underneath him, not just his grandkids, but any like kids around the neighborhood or around the city that he might be mentoring.
hmm
More than sure he's already setting them up for success.
for sure.
Yeah. But hey, like I said, if there's any movie producers or directors out there that heard this conversation and want to do that for me, please give me I will put my email in the description. Thank you very much.
Hey, I can't. He dead serious too.
Hey, man.
Let's start our own
Yeah.
production company though, man.
Hey,
I'm gonna do.
hey.
I'm gonna take care of all the finances, and then you figure out all the art, and let's run with it.
I already got things in the works. I'm not putting them out there right now, but I
Oh yeah,
got
for
things
sure.
in the works. So.
I got some stuff going on too. I don't think it's production or movie wise, but we'll see when it starts to get rolling too. And hopefully I get to do some benefits.
Just say that. We'll talk offline. We'll talk.
We'll talk about it for sure.
All right, but yeah, man, this was a great conversation. But fortunately, we gotta come to a close and start wrapping it up.
Okay.
From this conversation, do you feel like you've? I feel like I've gone into and thought about things deeper, and looking from your perspective is always like a good thing to have. Do you feel like you picked up anything from the night?
Yeah, I feel like it's always good to have conversations with people that are outside of your technical understanding of things because they might see things differently.
Mm,
For sure, me being on the outside, I might have looked at it in a whole different spin-off than what you would if you actually studied and understand it. And I feel like it's all useful information, or just to see like, okay, if I see a red from this angle, someone else sees blue. Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never really seen it from that angle. So it's like, it's always good to be able to hear perspectives from other people on the same point, and try to take away what you feel is right and what isn't right, and then go back and do your research. Um, and it's all about a learning experience, and that's one of the main reasons why we're doing this is to learn and bounce stuff off of each other, and maybe even create a dialogue with other people, and try to understand where they're coming from, and pick some truths and run with it. So I mean, that's pretty much what it
and
is. I think I liked it.
for sure. And to piggyback off of what you just said, just putting it out there one last time. If anybody in the production world, let me stop. I'm trying to get on, man. I'm trying to get on. I'm trying to
Yeah,
do
I hear you. I hear you. We
it.
gonna get you there, man. We gonna get you there.
For sure, man. It's written. It is written. There's no way, because like one thing I'll do is like I'll explain things the way that like in like movie terms.
hmm
You
And
kind of
I'm
like
looking at it like dumbed down, like, hey, what if this is this? You're like, that's not exactly how it goes, but that's another way to look at it. So it's like, yeah, that's what I say. It's always good to have someone that's not as technical as you are in whatever field you're
yeah,
in, to give you their perspective, and you might be able to learn something from it, or whatever the case may be.
for sure. So next episode, or one of the next episodes, we'll talk about mechanical engineering, because I don't know shit about that.
Nah, we're not
Um,
gonna do that. We are not gonna do that. You're just gonna have to just believe that I know what I'm talking about. That's about it. I'm gonna leave it like that.
all
So
right.
make sure you mark this date. What's the date today?
It's like November 32nd or some shit.
November 32nd.
Yeah, I used to get people with that all the time. Um,
So make sure you mark this date. Mike's gonna start a production company. We might be
hey,
gray. We might be gray haired by then. We might be
no, we
bald
ain't
by
gonna.
then.
We're not gonna be great. We're not gonna be bald. Hey, we gonna look. I'll give it to you this way. We're gonna look just how we look right now. Okay.
Yeah, black don't crack, man. That's why.
Uh,
We probably still be
I,
old. Nah, but yeah, I mean, I'm being serious. Let's get
mhm.
something going.
For sure.
I'm down.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Everything But the Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. And as always, we wish you peace, love, and happiness.
And make sure you follow us on all social media at EBT Podcast. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, spread the news. Hope you guys enjoyed this. It's all love from here.
All love, always, all love. All right, man, my friend. Good.
It's a wrap.
Until next time.
I see you.